Hey ink drinkers, it is already April, so I thought I'd do my March wrap up. I'm gonna keep it quick because it is old school April and all of my energy needs to go into this event because it is one of my favorite times of the year and I involve my entire family and we are on a sprint with Kelsey's channel. I want to get this done so I can go back to reading and watching some nostalgic movies, listening to nostalgic music, and just enjoying memories of a simpler time. I'm going to go over books and movies because music was much of the same. I've been listening to all the same bands and all that stuff, and I feel like it's just kind of becoming a little bit redundant here. So I didn't want to bore myself or you with that. The same goes for the shows I've been watching. I've pretty much been rewatching a lot of things with the family, nothing new or super exciting as of the last month or so. Maybe something popped in there, I don't know, but we're gonna talk books and movies. I read 9 books in the month of March. However, 2 of those books are short stories. They were under 50 pages, so count them, don't count them. I put them on my list. I put them on my Goodreads and my Fable app, so I'm counting them, but I am keeping that in the back of my mind that they are short stories. The first book that I finished, I actually had rollover from February, and it is Jane Eyre. I ended up giving Jane Eyre 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. I am really enjoying reading classics, and I decided to kind of unofficially focus on reading at least one classic a month because I have been enjoying them so much. Whether I dive back into classics that I haven't read since I was a kid or a teenager, or visiting new to me classics, I would like to kind of keep this ball rolling. I've really been enjoying it, and I've noticed a lot of them have dark undertones or are like in your face dark themes. So right up my alley. The second book that I finished was actually a dark poetry collection by Robert Weaver called Please Don't Tell Me It's Over, and I gave this one 5 stars. The third book I finished was The Unworthy that I buddy read with my friend Bad over at Bad is Rad. So this was a lot of fun. It's a very dark read, but I had fun discussing it with Bad, so I don't know what that says about me, that I enjoy discussing dark things with my friends, but here we are. He had some really insightful takes on this book and things that I just would not have thought of myself, or things that didn't jump out at me in the same way as it did her. So that's something that I really love about buddy reads, and I'm really glad that we were able to read it together. I ended up giving The Unworthy 4 stars. I felt like there was just something a little bit missing from that one. I would have enjoyed a little bit more backstory, I think, on certain things, just understanding a little bit more in depth about some of these characters. The fourth book I finished was Blackheart Boys Choir by Curtis Lawson. This one was way wilder than I expected, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Again, it was so close to perfect. The fifth book I finished was The House on Moon Creek Avenue. This would be the perfect Halloween read, or to read during Halloween season. I think I might revisit it actually. The version I have had on my Kindle for a long time. And so it's not the updated version, but I still enjoyed it so much that I gave it 4 stars. I really liked that he had a straightforward writing style so that I was fully immersed in the story and not focused on the flowery language or things like that. E. Reyes is an excellent storyteller. I had not been so creeped out by a book in such a long time, and like lights on, lights off, daytime, nighttime. He had some scenes in here that completely freaked me out. So I really appreciate that about his writing. He's a great storyteller. After that, I wanted to read some shorter stories. I didn't think that I'd finish them as fast as I did because I didn't realize they were as short as they were. So I was trying to kind of, fill in the days leading up to old school April, and discovered that these were much shorter than anticipated. So the first short story that I finished was The Lover by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Very interesting. If you like fairy tales and fables and you like woodsy stories that have wolfy themes, I think you would enjoy this. The 7th book / short story that I finished was Cut and Thirst by Margaret Atwood. Now, I read The Handmaid's Tale, really loved it. This was a lot of fun. It was kind of a lighter side of things. I mean, there are dark themes, but it has a humorous aspect to it, which was interesting to see. I really enjoyed seeing that side of her writing, and it was an enjoyable story. 4 stars. I also, I don't know why it's in this order. I think the short stories came after Macbeth. I'd have to look in my reading journal because, well, it's really a reading log, not a reading journal. There's nothing fancy in there. I log very specific details and no thoughts at all outside of the star ratings in there, but I do log them in order, so they might be a little bit out of order on my Goodreads. But I read Macbeth by William Shakespeare, of course. This was my first read of this story, I believe. I did read Romeo and Juliet in high school. I read Midsummer Night's Dream in high school. There were a few others that I've read. I think this was my first experience reading Macbeth. It is crazy downstairs. My adult kids are here, of course, but my husband isn't, so you get some like party sounds, some dog barking, some kids stomping. I apologize, but you know, such is life. I do these videos when I can, and you get what you get from me. I always say that. Anyway, really enjoyed Macbeth. I gave it 4 stars because, you know, it does take a little bit of effort on my part. I just feel like I'm not well versed enough in Shakespearean talk to be able to fully understand it without concentrating hella hard. So I ended up giving it 4 stars, and I started watching the adaptation with Michael Fassbender last night with one of my daughters, and we might finish it tonight. We might not get back to it because of Old School April. We'll see. But the scenery, the landscape in that movie, chef's kiss. And the last book that I finished, just in the nick of time, I think I finished it a little after 11 last night, was The Easton Falls Massacre, Bigfoot's Revenge. And this was written by a couple. Their names are eluding me at the moment, but I had a lot of fun with this. I just feel like there was something missing in kind of a big way. I would have liked it to have been longer. I know this was a huge hit with a lot of people that I follow and that I am connected with on BookTube and Bookstagram. So maybe my expectations were higher than they should have been going into this because I knew it was so beloved by so many people. But I ended up giving it 3 stars. I really enjoyed the writing style. I enjoyed the main character and the stuff that he was going through. I felt for him, and I really liked the idea. Maybe I should bump it up to 4 stars. Now that I'm talking about it, maybe I should have given it 4 stars. I liked the lore behind Bigfoot, behind the Sasquatch. It was an interesting read. It was a lot of fun. And I am finding that I am loving cryptid reads more and more. The more I get into them, the more I love them, the more I want to dive in. It's this big snowball effect. And so if you have any great cryptid reads that you'd like to recommend me, please let me know. All right, for the movies, I only watched 5 movies, well, finished 5 movies in the month of March. First was Eraserhead. I watched this as part of the Week of Weird, the first week of March. I really enjoyed my time with the Week of Weird. Got into some fun stuff. There was a short story that I read. I talked all about the things that I got into in a Week of Weird video, so if you're interested in checking that out, I will link it below for you to watch. I also watched the 1997 adaptation of Jane Eyre. Really enjoyed it. I feel like it moved a whole lot faster than the book, but of course the scenes that they omitted would have probably made it a 10-hour movie, so no complaints as far as that goes. Moved along nicely. Actually, no, I do have complaints. There are a couple things that I would have loved to have seen in that movie that I feel like would have given it a little more depth. It just felt like it moved really quickly. That's my biggest complaint, but really love the story of Jane Eyre and strong of a woman she was. So I enjoyed it. The third movie that I watched was Erin Brockovich. This is a rewatch however many times over. Erin Brockovich is goals. I loved Julia Roberts' performance in this movie. I think the entire thing was just such a fun thing to watch again. I feel like I've watched it several times in my adult life. I think it came out in 2000, so I was still a teenager, but I feel like the older I get, the more it resonates with me. So I enjoyed it. The next movie I watched was part of our Poetry Tea Time celebration this month. We centered our Poetry Tea Time around Lewis Carroll, and especially his poem Jabberwocky. And so I decided to have a Mad Hatter tea party, sort of. This was a last minute decision, so there was nothing like super fancy about it, but there's nothing super fancy about me. So I'm glad it came together the way that it did. We had a lot of fun. We were able to spend time outside. We watched Alice in Wonderland, the 1999 version, which was a lot of fun. I actually honestly prefer the cheesier, probably more low budget version that was in a two-part movie made for TV back in the 80s. But I wanted to give this one a try because I felt like the kids might like it a little bit more. And it was a lot of fun. There's so many big names in this one, and I think it was a good time. It's really weird, so it would have fit the week of weird as well. And last but not least, my daughter and I rewatched Sinners. This is our second watch after first watching it in January, and I loved it even more. I love that movie. If I gave movies star ratings, that would be a 5-star for sure. I know I ran through these things pretty quickly, but like I said, I want to read before we jump back on after this current sprint. If you are not part of Old School April and you'd like to be, it's never too late until the end of the month to join. You could always join next year as well, but why wait? Definitely join it. I will link my Old School April kind of plan video. You know, I make plans and then I break them, but my plan video will be down below if you'd like to check it out. Let me know what you've been reading. What was your favorite read and watch of March? Movies or shows, I don't care. Let me know what you got into, and let me know what you'd like to get into in April. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for a bit. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night. Until next time, cheers.